Thank you for being here and spending the end of the year with us. Can you believe I still don't have a plan for my birthday? I have that horrible birthday that's in between Christmas and New Year's Eve. So people either tapped out regarding Christmas or working up to New Year's Eve. And the Capricorns, we're always stuck in the middle. So I still don't have a final plan. I'm putting out some feelers right now, see what happens. Tonight's show is going to be light and short, kind of like a research show. This kind of like a pre-show to a full-blown show, because this is going to take an hour or two to discuss. So I'm going to discuss it a little bit with you guys and what I think, and it's very reminiscent of something that happened right here on our panel with a Black man who has a white wife. It blew up here one time on the block. So it's interesting that Dr. Umar just the other day had this issue with Ish. And you guys know Ish from the Joe Budden podcast, okay? If you guys have seen the clip or the full 3-hour episode because you're on Patreon, then you know what I'm talking about. But I don't think Ish needs an introduction. We all know Ish is on the Joe Budden podcast. And here we have Haran Zamako. Hello, sir.
Swabbing.
It's vibing. So, all right, you guys, if you want to support the show and my upcoming birthday, feel free to cash at me on the block with Jen scrolling on the bottom. It also helps Mama keep the street lights on. Thank you so much to everyone who cashed at me last night for that Christmas show. For real, meant a lot, because I really did that from the bottom of my whittle heart of coal. I just knew that a lot of people were lonely on Christmas. And I say, you know what? I'm going to come hang out with people on Christmas. I don't celebrate Christmas, so I'm more than available to hang out during the holidays. And I'm glad you guys enjoyed that and appreciated it and threw something in the tip jar for Mama. Or you can super chat if you like, if Cash App isn't your thing. But you guys know that when you super chat, YouTube fucks us in the ass, no Vaseline. For all those that cringed right now, because I heard, a gentleman was like, oh, you shouldn't curse, it's so off-putting. You can fuck off. That is how I speak. So let's move forward. Hi, are you, Haran?
Good, man. Should be somewhat of a funny show tonight.
You see, I'm in my pajamas, right? I didn't even get dressed. I ain't bothered. I was like, look, this is what they're gonna get.
Yeah, I mean, Umar went over there, and according to these clips and some of the things we've seen in Twitter, set Twitter on fire, man. He was over there throwing bombs. He got on the couch and just make quick work with all the foods, man.
Right. So briefly, yes, please hit the like. Come on, you guys, hit the like for Mama. It's free. Hit the like, okay? So yeah, I agree with you, Maroon Planet. I think Dr. Umar, I wouldn't necessarily call him a Black leader. I think he is I would call him a Black issues entertainer.
He's a pundit.
You think he's a pundit?
I think he's no different from sports commentator. You know what I mean? Okay. They're passionate about the game. They throw their own 2 cents in. They might even have some great insights. You know what I mean? But are they really moving the needle? Are they really moving the needle? Absolutely not.
No, I like that comparison. He is very much like a race commentator, sports commentator, very passionate. He'll yell just like the guys in the barbershop about LeBron and Jordan, right? He's that guy.
That's it, really. I mean, but he ain't out here. He ain't out here really putting in work like that.
No. And with that said, I think he's I think he's a great entertainer. He's funny to me. He's very funny to me. When I'm watching him, I feel like I'm watching a show, but you're absolutely right. I don't think I'm watching a man who's going to move the needle on race relations in America. I think he's gotten funnier over the years. I know when he first started, when we first saw Umar, he was very much like, yeah, you would think he would be marching. He's going to have an effect on reparations. And then years went on, and these guys, all of them, the Auntie Tariq Nasheeds and all of them, as the years progress, they become more and more comical. It becomes race satire, right? It becomes more and more comic. So it's entertainment at the end of the day. None of these guys are going to do anything for race relations. Just selling T-shirts and keychains.
Chad C, yes, I would agree. At this moment in time, Jen does look much better in her pajamas than I do. Give me a couple of more months. I'll be able to catch up. But no, I will concede. Yes. You would you would get a better sight by seeing John.
So Fire Fred 44 is already taking shots at you, Haran. He said, "What kind of coonery are you on, bro?" Dr. Umar is an activist. Unless he's talking to me. Are you talking to me?
No, he's calling me. He's calling me a coon. What's an activist, bro?
Yeah, what's an activist? What do you consider? But with that said, let me just say quickly, the word activism has changed over the years. So what used to be activists back in our day were like, Lolita LeBron, the Puerto Rican woman who led 3 men into the Capitol and was popping shots with a rifle. That was an activist back in the day, or Lolita LeBron, okay? Today, the activists of today are basically social media activists. These motherfuckers get Cadillac deals and Nike deals. They get to be in commercials, and they go meet the, it's different. The activists today are celebrities, where the activists of back in the day were getting 25 to life in prison. They were getting shot down. They were getting hosed down. They were getting German shepherds, on their ankles, right? They were getting murdered. So the activists of yesteryear are not the activists for today. So for today, Dr. Umar and Auntie Tariq Nasheed, they will qualify as activists today to people online, right? Because online is a world. Everybody's living on the online world. So if they see their activists online, they think their activists are really boots on the ground, right? They're like, oh, look, an activist. He's talking about Black matters, right? So they think he's an activist.
Let me crush some feelings right now. Motherfucker Fire Fred 44 says, not you. You goddamn right, not me. I'm not down for you niggas. First of all, you know what I mean? An activist, none of your activists, if you really kind of think about it, none of your activists really died for anything important. You motherfuckers lost Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, a number of incredible Black people in the name of progression and moving forward. And right now, what do we have? A pregnant Black woman on goddamn stage singing about, fuck my baby daddy. That's what you motherfuckers got. That's what you fought for. That's what these people spilled their blood for. So you can have this on television. So you can make a buck off of exploiting each other. That's what you have. So no, I'm not an activist because for that reason.
Okay, but wait a minute. You said that they didn't die for anything. They died for a lot, Iran.
For what did they die for?
They died for the civil rights of people of color. They did many years in prison for their people of color. They died for a lot, brother. Now, what people did with that freedom and that equality, if they squandered it, that's another subject entirely. But they died for what they believed in.
We can say that they died, from my perspective, they died in vain.
Ooh. Because if you feel that way, that's fine.
I mean, what has happened? I mean, where are we now? Where are we now?
Well, Adam Hearn, again, even the Puerto Rican activists of today could never fill the shoes of Lolita LeBron, of Albizu Campos, of Betances, of Roberto Clemente. Right. The activists of today cannot fill the shoes of those people, okay? Lolita LeBron did about 25 years because she ran in the Capitol. Everybody thinks these white boys were the first ones to run in the Capitol, okay? Look up Lolita LeBron. She was fighting for Puerto Rico. She ran up in the Capitol with 3 guys, okay, and some high heel shoes. All right, and turned the motherfucker out, the whole Capitol. So, again, the Puerto Ricans of today are not going to fill the shoes of Albizu Campos and Betances and Lolita LeBron or Roberto Clemente. It's not happening. Similarly, a fucking Auntie Tariq Nasheed, Auntie Miss Thang, selling her keychains and her T-shirts, and Dr. Umar are not going to fill the shoes of a Marcus Garvey and Malcolm X and a Martin Luther. It's not. things have changed, right? Everything is easier now. Now that you could go online and complain about Palestine and Israel and call yourself an activist. But if I said I got a free ticket for you to go out to Israel so you could really be an activist, none of them celebrity motherfuckers are boarding a flight. They are not boarding a flight. They are safe at their house saying, you should support Palestine. You should support Hamas. Gaza. If I had a free ticket right now, a round trip, I say, here you go. You got a passport. I got a ticket for you. So you go to Israel and really protest and really help those children that are dying. Are you going to go? Here's your ticket. Here is your ticket, sir, ma'am. Are you going? No, they're not fucking going. So today you get to be an activist, right? Online. So that's all we're talking about. It's not the same thing.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. The activists that Jen and I actually supported and looked up to were, for example, Khalid Muhammad. That motherfucker was with the shits for real. He's not Umar and Khalid Muhammad are two totally different people. Khalid wasn't out here, you know what I mean? Khalid wasn't out here selling T-shirts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or keychains.
Out here, or keychains, or, you know what I mean, asking people to sign up and subscribe to his YouTube. Okay, no, the motherfuckers was out here for real, really actually risking their lives, really going against the system. You know, so what a lot of you brothers, actually ancestors, actually call activism, it's really just a motherfucker with a gripe. That's it. It don't be out. It's not anybody with a real position. It's just a motherfucker really out here with a gripe, playing the clickbait game, as we all do. You know what I mean? I don't knock the hustle. I'm out here clickbaiting it also. But just get your story straight. That's all I'm saying.
Right. So this episode of the Joe Budden podcast is on Patreon. I heard it's like 2 parts. The first part is 3 hours. I have not seen it. I've seen the clips that have dropped just like all of you. And I found it rather interesting because we had a gentleman on the panel before who's married to a white woman, but he's very pro-black. He's blackity black. He was talking about black politics, black people, the freedom of black people, and boundary black. And then it turns out, we found out that his wife was whacked with the H. Right. And one of the ladies on our panel called him out for it, and all hell broke loose because he insisted that even though he has a white wife, he's very pro-black and he can be pro-black even with a white wife. Again, same thing that happened with Ish over at the Joe Budden podcast and Dr. Umar Johnson. I do want to play a clip so you guys know what we're talking about. And I want to briefly discuss, again, we're going to have to do a 2-hour panel on this. And I'd like more people up here. However, I think Joe Budden dropped enough right now that we can discuss this right now. Okay. So okay. I see y'all questions. Throw it in there with a super chat. I'm not gonna be sifting through. What's up, nephew? I see you. Yeah.
Yes, and stole my
Adam remembers. He said Jen flamed that guy. What happened to him? I'm sure he's well. I'm sure he's fine. So I'm gonna play this clip and we'll dissect. And you guys in the chat, please hit that like and subscribe. But you guys let me know, is it possible to be pro-black with a white girlfriend or a white wife, or mating with a white woman and making half white children? They are half white. I don't give a fuck what they're. No, they black. They black. The father's black. They black. They are mixed. They are mixed. Okay. They have half all the chromosomes their mama got. They grew in her womb, her blood vessels. Okay. They are mixed. They're not black. We're not on the plantation anymore. They are mixed. So you guys let me know. Can you be?
Just want to bring up something real quick. All the men on the panel, over there, Joe Buttons, as you know, he'll go black, but he likes his black mixed with a little Latina. He'll go Afro Latin. Joe Buttons. He'll go Afro Latin. He doesn't go black. Ish. Obviously, he has a thing for the cream and coffee, and the dude, the funny dude, Flip Flip, he goes for Caribbean women. So none of these guys are going for black women.
Well, that's interesting. However, I did hear Ish say that both of his exes were two black women. Now, I don't know if they were, caramel or beige, or I don't know.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I also heard that, but I also heard that immediately after he broke up with both of those women, he went white. I heard that. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, if somebody can find the clip, but I do recall him saying he went white with at least one of them after one of them. Didn't know Flip was Jamaican. I mean, if I'm incorrect in the matter, not a problem. But I do recall he said at least one of them after the demise of the relationship, he went with a white woman.
Okay, but let's be fair. Devil's advocate tonight. I'm back in my devil's advocate bag. Maybe he gave it the good old, you know what I'm saying, Afrocentric try with two black women. It didn't work out. So he was like, let me try another race, see what happens. Maybe that's what happened. No?
I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just always one to find it funny and odd that black people always, it just seems like they're always the ones that are willing to step outside of their race, and everybody's trying to really play for the home team. You know what I mean? Like,
but I said it before. Don't you think it's because, the experience of black people in this country is quite unique and they have a lot of trauma with each other, so they're trying to get away from each other, maybe, perhaps, maybe?
I do think a lot of it has to do with that. I think it's a very complex idea. A lot of people in this country, their perception of blackness is different from my perception of it. A lot of black people perceive blackness as poverty, degeneracy, failure, so on. We are from the Caribbean. We don't see blackness in that regard. You know what I mean? Because we weren't taught that. So I can't speak to their experience. I can't speak to the impact of that experience and what it does to their personal and interpersonal relationships.
Okay. Sarah C says it's all rooted in self-hate. Simple. I think that's part of the ingredient, right? A lot of these guys have issues with their mothers, right? A lot of the women have issues with their fathers or lack thereof, right? So there's a lot of trauma. The Black experience in this country is quite traumatic. It's quite traumatic. Speaking of, I had this. Say again.
I have to give it some sort of grace because I don't know what that does to someone's psyche. All I can say is that, it is your job to fix it. But I don't know. I can't sit here and say that, oh no, that you should have been fine. No, because there's things that have happened to me that affects my the manner in which I view the world to this day that I still have to work on. So I do give them grace.
Okay, so you understand why a Black woman or a Black man would date out of their race because there's a lot of trauma.
Absolutely.
Okay. Absolutely. Even if they go white.
Absolutely. I'm not necessarily a fan of it. I'm not, in support of, I'm not in support of, I'm not a fan of it in regards of saying, from what I've seen, the manner in which they behave, they don't behave as if it's just a person that they're actually dating. So many of them see him as some sort of escape from the pits of something, as if this person has saved you from the degeneracy of something and you're about to experience this privilege and so on. Like, no, just date a regular person. Just date this person. I'm sure after a while, after you get over the new car smell of this person being Caucasian, you're going to find out they have their own quirks and quips and all that other shit. And you're going to find out you're just fucking another regular fucking human being who just happens to have more privilege than you in the socioeconomic scale.
Okay, so I do see that. I see it happening on both sides. I see Black men weaponizing that they're dating white women. And I do see Black women weaponizing that they're dating a white guy. Like it's a bigger deal, right? It's like, ooh, look at my white prize on both sides, So let's play this clip. Let's play this clip right quick, and then we will dissect. I was all the way on Umar's side, but then, Ish said something that made me think like, that's interesting as well.
Yeah, Ish got a little, he got a little southpaw in there. I think we're talking about the same thing. I think we're talking about the same point.
Okay, we shall see. Let's play it for the people. Please hit that like and subscribe. Support your mama. Cash App on the block with Jen. Buy your girl a smoothie. My birthday's on Friday. Or throw something in the super chat. Let's play this right now, and we will see. I see you, Sarah. I will grab that comment in a minute. Share screen. Let's get into this. Can we see that? Haran, can we see that? Okay. I need your voice because I don't be on the screen. Okay. Here we go. Got it. Let's play this, everybody. Pay attention, and we're going to dissect real quick. It's going to be easy and neat.
No, or you're Bunny Howard. Yes. That's why you have a liberal perspective, because you go home to a white woman.
But that's not true. I felt this way before I met my white girlfriend.
Although your white girlfriend and possibly none of her family owned the slave, and
from Portugal.
Although the Portuguese were some of the first ones in the slave trade.
The very
they built most of the dungeons in Africa. So I know she got racism in her veins because of the Portuguese role in the slave trade. Let's say her family fit from all of that. What's not fit? It was the first ones in the shit. Fuck out of here with this. You get on the beginning of the white Portuguese bloodline. This girl, it was the shit of the Portuguese 1400s. They built the first fucking dungeons.
I'm gonna crack them.
Now, no, you're not, because you're bunny hopping. The reason you have no business being with a Caucasian woman is although she nor her family may have participated in our oppression directly, she benefits from it.
Should we have that same disdain for the Africans that sold us into the slave trade?
That's a great question. Are you mixed race?
No.
Or you a bunny hopper?
Yes.
That's why you have a liberal perspective, because you go home to a white woman.
But that's not true. I felt this way before I met my white girlfriend.
Although your white girlfriend and possibly none of her family owned the slave, and
from Portugal.
Although the Portuguese were some of the first ones in the slave trade.
The very
they built most of the dungeons in Africa. So I know she got racism in her veins because of the Portuguese role in the slave trade. Let's say her family fit from all of that. What's not fit? It was the first ones in the shit. Fuck out of here with this. You get on the beginning of the white Portuguese bloodline. This girl, it was the shit of the Portuguese 1400s. They built the first fucking dungeons.
I'm gonna crack them.
Now, no, you're not, because you're bunny hopping. The reason you have no business being with a Caucasian woman is although she nor her family may have participated in our oppression directly, she benefits from it.
Should we have that same disdain for the Africans that sold us into the slave trade?
Great question. Are you mixed race?
Well, shit. Let me tell you, Joe Budden's about to give me to pay for that Patreon.
I was thinking about paying for that shit last night. I was like, I might show up. I might show up for that.
So there's another clip where he's discussing race. I want to look at real quick. And the reason why I play it twice is because it's hard to decipher the conversation the first go round. And if you're a good witness, you got to see it more than once. So check out this clip as well.
Mansa Musa was the richest black man to ever grace the face of the earth.
He was not a capitalist.
You out your fucking mind.
He was not a capitalist.
Yes, he was.
Was a capitalist.
Yes.
He exploited poor black labor.
Dr. Umar,
Prove it to me.
He was a huge capitalist. Maybe the biggest ever.
Capitalism is not an indigenous African economic system, and it did not exist at the time of Mansa Musa.
Greed existed prior to Mansa Musa ever gracing the face of the earth.
Greed and capitalism are not the same thing. You said capitalism. Mansa Musa was not a capitalist, and capitalism did not exist in Africa at that time. Prove it. What is your source?
I can't do it right now.
Well, when you get time, I'm going to come back so you can prove it.
I'm going to send it to you.
Cite your source.
Okay, and the last one I'm going to play for you is this. He goes back into his girlfriend. It's his white girlfriend.
I was just reading about the black guy that infiltrated the Ku Klux Klan and was able to turn half a many people out of the Ku Klux Klan.
My God.
That's look, you hate it.
That bullshit. That's
Shane Elliott go talk to 5,000 white people and can convert 500 of them to
He
create
ran
it.
X amount of people out the Klan, right?
Yes.
My question to you, what the hell did that do for white privilege?
Nothing.
Thank you. It's irrelevant. Change.
Cool.
Listen to this.
What is your white girlfriend doing about the exploitation of Africans in Brazil, Mozambique, and Angola?
Nothing.
I didn't think so.
Let me ask you this. What the fuck are 97% of the black people doing about the exploitation of black people worldwide?
Don't do that.
No, stop.
Don't do that.
We holding people to
Don't
a different
do that.
standard.
We're not holding people to a different
I'm
standard.
talking about niggas in
Right.
North,
But
niggas
let
in
me tell you,
Harlem.
I need another water. What we
Me
got
too.
over here?
Oh,
want some stronger?
what I'm saying-
Bring me some Nigerian punch. Bring me some Senegalese.
Listen to what I'm saying.
Damn. Damn.
That I don't know where Ish got that from. He was probably desperate. You know, in that Rocky movie with Rocky on the ropes and he just comes up with a hitter. Yeah, he was right about that. What are 97% of these motherfuckers actually doing about the exploitation of blacks? Absolutely nothing. They on here calling him wrong. He ain't an activist. That's what they do.
A lot was said. A lot was said. And you're absolutely right. Umar had him on the ropes, but then Ish came back with that one hitter quitter. Okay,
right.
And it was a great counter. It was a great counter, right? Because it's easy. And again, this is reminiscent of the conversation we had here with the dude with the white wife. Okay, we had this conversation. We did that on the block. Okay, we did it on the block. Umar, woo, that's a contender, baby. But can we get here at one time for Ish's energy? My goodness, where does he get that energy from? Lord Almighty. So Umar had some points. He claimed that Ish is a liberal because he goes home to a white woman, right? Which could be the case because remember when we had that argument here on the block, I told the gentleman, I said, there's no way you can be all the way pro-black because you have half white children and a white wife. Let's say hypothetically a race war breaks out. You will be saving white people. You will not only be saving white people, your wife, but possibly anybody in her extended family. So you're going to be all about the white woman at that point in time, right? I think that's a good point to make. And you're half white children. So Umar was saying, what has your wife done? I mean, your girlfriend done for X, Y, and Z for black people in Mozambique, blah, 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 whatever he said. And then the counter was, well, what do 97% of black people do for all those countries that you just named? That's a good argument, Haran.
It is a very good argument. It was Ish when he pulled that one out. I was like, oh, so he still got some fight left in him. I thought he was going to get washed the whole goddamn show. That's why I wanted to actually pay for it because I was like, let me find out this motherfucker got the whole show. But just to put out there, a very interesting and solid subject was discussed, and I wish they went into it a little bit more. The concept of capitalism, and one of the things that Umar was saying that's absolutely true, and people tend to believe that they're synonymous, is capitalism is different from the concept of greed. Capitalism is a system. Greed is a condition connected to the human condition. You know what I mean? Another thing, if we put out there too, Mansa Musa, the history of him, he was known to be a very generous person, gave his wealth, so on and so forth. I believe a lot of his riches that came from like salt, and gold deposits, elephant ivory. He was very heavily involved in trade. But anyway, the point of the matter is this. I believe what we say here, like a lot of times, I guess what he was trying to get to was the European translation of the system of capitalism is usually synonymous with greed and exploitation. That's what I think that's what I think the dig was that he was going with. And what Ish was basically saying, he was concentrating on the system. To some degree, you can say Mansa Musa was using the system of capitalism to some degree, you know what I mean? Trade is involved in that and so on. But Ish was not Ish. Umar was concentrating on greed in America and how it is used to exploit the poor and so on. But I would go as far as to sit here and say that, you know, it just it kind of not, I don't want to say deifies, but again, it just constantly puts puts Africans in this particular light where they're morally superior. There was shit going down in Africa too, man. You know what I mean? There was corruption, you know what I mean, and so on. I'm pretty sure there were a number of things that went on in the Kingdom of Mansa Musa that we don't necessarily discuss and talk about. You know, exploitation, greed, and all these things. These things weren't exclusive and new to America.
But I think let's not miss that there are always two conversations going on, right? There are conversations with the people at the top of the food chain, and then the conversations with people at the bottom. So even when we talk about capitalism and greed, right? Those are two different conversations, right? And these people at the bottom, if they have access to this room, they change their views and they change them rather quickly. Same thing, vice versa, right? What do you think about Carl says capitalism incentivizes greed and corruption? Capitalism incentivizes greed and corruption.
Well, socialism incentivizes laziness and exploitation of the productive.
Ooh.
See, the problem is that you're not really mad at capitalism. You just want something easy. And that's not necessarily the fault of capitalism. Give me capitalism all day, any day. I can go home. I can be homeless tomorrow in a capitalist society. And guess what? If I build myself up, let's see, get some sort of income together, invest wisely, I can actually be in a great state in 4 or 5 years. Not necessarily rich, but in a capitalist society, you always got a fucking shot. In the socialist society, like for instance, one of the things that they constantly tell you, especially in Canada, we're like, well, Canada's medical system is socialist and it's wonderful. Yeah, but you also got to wait online. You also got to, you know what I mean, sign up and wait. You know what I mean, for a motherfucker to call you to actually, you know what I mean, handle whatever issue that you're handling. You know, so yeah, you want to talk. No system is perfect. No system is perfect at all, and nothing is fair. And see, that's the problem right there. Capitalism isn't fair.
Phoenix Rising says capitalism isn't fair.
And that's the main point. That's the elephant in the room. You don't give a fuck about the system. You just want fair. Everybody wants to win. And that's not going to happen. That's not even nature. That's not even the way nature moves, man. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Devoid of any system or whatever. Before us, there was nature. And guess what? Nothing was fair under those parameters also. The smaller animals got eaten alive. You know, the once dominant dinosaurs, they got taken out by a wild fucking meteor. Nothing is fair. And if that is your internal issue, then that's something that you have to just, you know what I mean, look within and ask yourself, well, is this really about how I'm moving in the system, or do I have an issue with fairness? Because let me tell you something. Fair ain't nothing. Fair, there's fairness in the world, and the only fairness it is the fare you pay. That's it. That's the only fair in the world, is the fare you pay, and we all pay.
So going back to what I continuously say, it seems like animals understand clearly how life works, right? When you go up the food chain, you go to humans, it seems like humans can't grasp, right, how the world works, how survival works, right? See, in the jungle, right, the silverback that gets his ass beat can't go up to the silverback who wins like, this isn't fair, I want to get laid too, right? You go to the jungle, the alligator that eats the zebra mommy, the little zebra babies can't go up to the alligator like, that was really unfair, that was like my whole mom, dude, right? It doesn't happen. But humans are constantly fighting and crying about this isn't there, this isn't fair. And then the people that understand how life works and survival works, they're all at the top. Those are the people that you're complaining about in the capitalist. It's not fair, the capitalist, right? But they very much, I think, they know how life works more than anyone else. Now, is it fair? No, but neither is, you know what I mean? Nature. Nature's not fair. So Carl is countering. He is saying socialism is a means to counter the negatives of capitalism. If someone is anti-capitalist, that doesn't mean they are socialist. That's just binary thinking. But again, I still think the undertone of this is it's not fair. What do you think?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So what are the system? Here's the bigger question. What system? I'm asking the entire panel. Excuse me, I'm asking the entire chat. What system do you think is so perfect that it will be devoid of the human condition? It will be literally evil proof. It'll literally, under no circumstances, could the human condition actually exploited and twisted. What system? Name it. And get and as Dr. Umar said, show your work. Cite your sources, sir.
Cite your sources. Because
I would love to hear this shit. What do you think that is so perfect that it means that everyone eats, everyone's okay, and it's fair for everyone? See, personally speaking, personally speaking, I come from a world of nothing was fucking fair. I had to work for everything in my fucking life. I don't cry and bitch and moan. I come from a family that lived in shanty towns. Okay, and when they came to America, they were just flabbergasted at how well off the homeless were in America than some of the people who are actually, you know, I mean, in the Caribbean town. You know, if you really want to talk about fair.
I dropped the link. If anybody wants to come up and say it with their chest, more than welcome to come up on the panel. But do you think that it's relative, Haran? Like people who are homeless here are like, oh fuck, I'm homeless here, but then say like a shanty town or a third world country, and you have 5-year-olds walking 5 miles to get water, right? That's the worst for them, but the worst for us is being homeless on a sidewalk in Times Square. Do you think it's relative, and do you think that people have a right to feel like this is the worst their life can be because they live in a city or a country where everybody should be in a home?
Well, everything is relative, absolutely relative. But when you get down to brass tacks, only two of you really have a fucking shot at changing your life. Yeah, you're homeless on the corner of Times Square, and you're also in the richest fucking country on the planet. Okay, that kid that's walking miles from the shanty town to look for water is most likely going to die in that fucking shanty town. Statistics say that kid's most likely going to die in his situation. Statistically speaking, yeah, if you put a little grease to it, no, you could get out of that homeless situation. You could. You have a shot. In America, look, man, in America, you always, especially now, you always got a shot, man. And that's what people don't want to really address. You always have a shot.
So you said earlier that you're not a fan, like Dr. Umar went in on Ish about his girlfriend being white, and Ish tried to like skate around. Well, she's Portuguese. I'm telling you, very much mirrored what happened here on the panel with the gentleman with the white wife. We were like, you know, your wife is white. He was like, no, she's not. She had this and have that, half Euro, half ashtray, half Congo, half glass, half crystal, and we were okay. She's white. She presents as white. So I noticed Ish tried to do the same thing, right? He was like, no, she's Portuguese and blah blah. But at the end of the day, it was like, no, she's white. Now, earlier, Haran, you said you're not a fan of that, right? You understand people do what they do. If they're traumatized in their own community, they date out. You said you're not a fan of it. Why?
Well, I guess it's one of those things where I see that's how it's often handled. Like, for instance, especially when it comes to sisters when they date out, it's perceived as some sort of win, some sort of opportunity to kick black men in the back. You know what I mean? You know, if you date outside of your race, if you date Asian, Indian, so on and so forth. That's cool. But the moment you date white, why is that perceived as a win? Why is that perceived as a jackpot? So stay outside of your race and keep it pushing. I see the other thing, and also with black men, I see the same thing. A lot of times, look, I'll keep it real. A lot of times, what gets thrown out there when these brothers, either they date white or outside of their race, period, is that, wow, I'm being treated like a man in this situation. My thoughts and feelings matter in this dynamic. So apparently, throughout the dynamics that they had previously, they've never felt as if their opinions and their ideas and themselves as men mattered. And I've spoken to a number of brothers. So there's something in between that thing when it comes to black people, black women and black men, that the moment that they go white, they like to brandish this idea in front of each other, when at the end, like, essentially those people had a hand in you two hating each other. So it's kind of the irony of the whole thing.
But let me pause you right there. Thank you for the super chat, Fahim Jackson. Fahim Jackson says, capitalism is so bad, huh? But I wonder how many people Black Friday and this past Christmas partook in this capitalism that's so bad and so unfair. That is a great point. Also, a bankrupt factory, when you go literal, then you lose, right? You lose the idea of the conversation. So Bankrupt Factory says equating humans to live animals is sociopathic. I think it takes a little bit more than that to be sociopathic, but let's use your definition. We have more complex ways to materialize actions in the world than accepting a dog eats dog mentality. So apparently us comparing just nature, meaning animals, whales, human beings, apparently us comparing all living, breathing things that want to survive, right? That is our first instinct to survive. I guess according to Bankrupt Factory, it's sociopathic. I don't think you know what that word means, but let's play in your sandbox for a second, okay? The comparison was every living organism, okay? The goal is to survive. And that means by any means necessary. When you get to human beings, they're quite comfortable and they don't care about the will to survive if they feel like someone is going to give them a hand, a help, some sort of handout, right? Where when you go into the jungle, the silverback that got his ass beat is not going to the silverback that won because he understands survival of the fittest. I simply said human beings do not. There are too many luxuries. So a human being knows that they can go fill out an application and get a PPP loan. That was my point. That's my point.
Listen, can I? Wait. I just want to throw this real point right here, real quick. Look, listen. I'm gonna just put it out there with y'all right now, and you can go to bed with this. When you're not in control of anything important, maybe if you never ran a business, maybe if you never really had to be seated in a situation where you have to make the tough choices, you have the privilege of civility. You have the privilege of morality. Okay? Understand this, sir. America, you are in this state right now, and you can behave in the manner in which you're behaving with such morality because America is the biggest dog willing to kill everybody on the fucking block. America is a bully. America is the dog that is willing to eat every other fucking dog, and that is the reason why you're able to do whatever the fuck you want to do. Because as civilized as you may be or believe yourself to be, this world is ran by high-functioning sociopaths and psychopaths. This is it. This is the real shit. And you can't exist in those spaces unless you're willing to get as down as dirty as they are. And that's it, period.
So, Dordashian, what did you want to say? Because then I have a question.
I wanted to disagree with one of your statements. You say nature is not fair, and I would disagree with that because, for example, I do feel like the system of electricity or industrialization and capitalism go very along. You know, a good example is when you leave a building and you have the sign exit. exit comes from like the god of electricity. I forgot. It's something Aziliers. So once you exit, you go to the jungle. Meaning, for example, for me to buy 7 apples, I gotta have enough capital, enough $2, $5 to buy 7 apples, right? Under nature, I could find a tree that will give me unlimited apples forever. So how can you say that nature is unfair when you could, be self-sustained, growing your own, having your own eggs, having your own apples, having your own land will provide you that. And so I feel like you're being unfair by saying nature is unfair. I think we're just under a system of electricity, a system of like all of these gadgets that, you buy a phone, but you still gotta have to pay that bill, So I don't know. I know I'm very abstract when I think, but I just don't like that you don't like nature so much. Like, what's your problem against nature? Puerto Rican.
Whoa, you're off. Whoa.
Way off.
You said nature is unfair. I remember you said that, and I didn't like that.
What the fuck is this man talking about? So let's woo. Okay. So nature is unfair. You're talking about an apple tree, am I right? That you may be
I'm just giving it a sample. I'm giving you an example between going to a supermarket and buying an apple and having an apple tree in Abuela's house, for example, or a mango tree. Feel me?
So okay, so what happens at the Abuela's house that doesn't have a tree?
Well, for the Abuela house that doesn't have a tree, then that's when you lose like the freedom of, like, let's say once you live in an apartment, for example, you lose the freedom of growing a tree, So, but then that you called me with that question. I wasn't ready for that question, for that answer, and I realized my hair didn't have gel, so now I feel self-conscious. So give me 1 second. Not too much on Avo. I gotta put some gel. Yeah, I forgot the gel. I just looked at myself.
We're gonna let you simmer for a bit. Let me address a comment right here about Phoenix Rising. Phoenix Rising says Black people aren't ruthless enough. Ouch. Which is the truth. You niggas ain't mad enough. Guess what? There's a lot of look, man, there's a lot of people.
Heavy. That's heavy because I've had that conversation. That's heavy.
Look, Black people are very forgiving. As a matter of fact, they pride themselves in turning the cheek no matter how ruthless and horrible someone treats them. So that is another reason why, I look at them kind of sideways when they run into the arms of whites and believe that it's some sort of triumphant moment, because it's like, really? Like, you willing to just forgive these motherfuckers for everything and wear it as a badge of honor?
But isn't it when you spoke about earlier, when you said earlier that both Black women and Black men, regarding Ish being with this white woman, you spoke about they act like they got a prize but don't they though? If you look at the race and ethnicity food chain, right? White people are above us, right? On the food chain. Don't misconstrue what I say, because you motherfuckers are good for that. On the food chain in America, right? White people are above us. So if a Black person gets with a white person, didn't they get a prize technically?
Are you with a person who has more privilege?
If you're talking about the memory of Emmett Till, maybe, So if you fucking a white woman, because there was a time that Emmett Till literally supposedly winked at a white woman, and he got killed, he got burned, he got drowned. Basically, they did the worst to this 15-year-old. So for those men that feel like, back in 1969, we could have even married a white woman. If we were to have a son like Trevor Noah, that would have been illegal before 1969. I'm pretty sure that's not a long time ago. I don't know. I'm not good at math, but how long ago was that? 1969.
There's a big question. Why would you want to? Why would that be a goal to be able to marry white women?
No, I don't think. I'm not saying it's not a goal, but then if you go back,
no, I'm saying why would it? Why do you think that would be considered a goal? Like we need to have something in place to.
I think the attractions are always going to be there. I think marriage is a contract. So when you have systems of like in a lot of work fields, us men of color or people of color, we tend to be the dishwashers. We tend to be the guard. We tend to be, but then we don't see each other in position of like, let's say, being the manager, being the supervisor, right? But when a fucking janitor fuck a supervisor, yes, some way, somehow, you're not in the same field, but for men, and I'm not saying myself, but a lot of men feel like whatever they get into, like whatever women they fuck, they part of that women, So now let's say you're the janitor, but then you fucking the manager. Wouldn't you think you have some type of advantages that she'll be like, you know what? Let's put you in the mailroom next year, Shit like that happens.
Now, in that circumstance, I was going to say, yes, in terms of the food chain, that person is able to receive a number of privileges that you can't. Absolutely. But in the manner in which they speak about it, it sounds like something that's very much connected to their self-esteem.
No,
that's
definitely.
The point.
You see, going back to
wait one second. Let me finish my point. Let me finish my point for a minute.
You got me one.
So the point here is that I'm saying is that move however you're going to move, but if so much of your identity is connected to the acceptance of another group of people, you very much believe that those people are superior to you. Now I can agree that as a group of people have more doors that are available to them to open than I do, but that doesn't mean you're superior to me. It's just mean within the context of where we are, you have the upper hand.
Mm-hmm. So hi Chad C, welcome to the panel.
Hello, how's everybody doing?
Really good. So yeah, you said something interesting.
Absolutely nothing like I thought he would.
Okay. So Chad, you said something interesting in the chat, and now that I see that you're white, it makes sense. You said, laughing my fucking ass off, I've never heard a black person think they were getting a prize from being with a white person.
I haven't.
Well, I'm about to school you. The term white prize is literally an urban term used to when a black person dates somebody white, we say, oh, he got that white prize, or she got that white prize, or you over there trying to get the white prize. So just FYI, it's actually a term that's used. But what say you now that you're up here?
Well, I would say in Florida that it amazes me at you never know who somebody's married to or what color they are or anything else like that. Because in Florida, I don't see the discrimination that y'all are talking about a lot of times in Florida.
In Florida?
Yeah.
What part of Florida are you in, sir?
I'm in Northeast Florida and close to Jacksonville, Southern Georgia, AKA.
You don't see racism?
No, I really don't. And if you even ask, even here, they did have a racist shooting.
Can I give you one example? And I'll give you the reason why I left Florida 2 years ago.
Okay, go ahead.
2 years ago, I was living in Florida and I was doing Lyft, whatever, over there in South Florida, right? There was an instance of a robbery that happened in Coral Gables. Coral Gables is a very predominant white area in Miami, Florida, right? What happens is two African-American men go into a jewelry store. They steal from the jewelry store. Then they see a UPS driver, right? A Hispanic UPS driver, 23-year-old, Jen, a baby, 23-year-old. His wife just got a kid, right? The sequence that happened is that in Coral Gable, you're not supposed to shoot nobody. In Coral Gable, you're supposed to like over here, let them run, right? So they allowed them to run. They allowed them this two thieves to kidnap this kid, right? For approximately 25 miles. They drove from Miami, they drove Fort Lauderdale, they drove all the way to Broward, right? Now, Jen, you know what Broward is? Broward is predominantly black, Haitian, Caribbean, etc. Right? That's
what is it? Is it predominantly?
Let me finish.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to ask you a question.
Now, let me finish. I'm about to finish. Now, when they reach the line of Broward, every police department discharged discharged a weapon. Coral Gables Police Department, Miami Police Department, Fort Lauderdale Police Department, Hollandale Police Department, and you know what? They didn't have no sympathy for the 23-year-old that was kidnapped. They didn't have no sympathy for the Uber driver that was minding his business in the middle of the street and he got shot. They didn't have no business for the civilians that were in the middle. They just shot at the whole thing. So you're not going to tell me that Florida is not a racist state. The same state that pays $7 an hour to undocumented workers. So what you got to say about that?
Well, what do you think they do? They pay to U.S. citizens. They pay $7.45 or something to U.S. citizens.
And that's fine.
Also, that's not a racist thing with the way them cops shot up. That is a very poorly trained and probably one of the most hated counties in Florida as far as police action goes, because they are so bad.
The same departments that when a police officer gets fired in Chicago, Illinois, in New York City, the same departments tell them, "Come here. We will hire you." So how are you going to tell them?
Well, that is also the same department that also didn't go in during a predominantly white school shooting that said that it endangered their lives, so they would not go into that school shooting. The Parkland school shooting. They sat outside during the whole shooting because they said it endangered that was Broward County. Broward County is just effed up, just to be honest with you. That is the joke. If you want to, in fact, if you look at crazy Florida man stories, look at how many of them come from Broward County. I will not defend Broward County whatsoever, but I'm saying whenever I go out in public here, anywhere I go here, you see multiracial people all over the place. In fact, there's people like Jen and people like Aaron might get together and I might, 50 shades of brown, like I say. So, I mean, you don't know what race anybody is. It might be somebody that, I'm actually tanner than I might look. But, you can kind of tell the difference between people that live up in New York compared to Florida, no matter what race they are, just because of the...
Are I see all the American flags behind you there. So how American
flags? I've got a Gadsden, don't tread on me flag there. That's a Florida flag. That's a Pro 2A flag. That's right there. I got an American flag and I got a Texas flag because I originally grew up in Texas.
Okay, where's the 13 colony one? 13 colony one. You need
That's the Pro 2A flag, the Pro Second Amendment flag.
No Confederate flags for you?
No, I took them down a while ago.
Ah, why'd you take them down?
For one, I started doing podcasts and it caused way too much problems on that if I would even put them up. Another is...
Why would they cause problems?
Because it's not worth trying to explain the difference between like Southern lifestyle versus... other lifestyles, because it's not really like, it's kind of like a rebel thing, like we're fighting the government or we're fighting, like the General Lee and the Dukes of Hazzard wasn't a Confederate thing. That was saying we're a rebel against prohibition. So,
So you would agree that the sight of that behind you, it would have triggered some ideas in terms of racism.
Very much so. Very much so.
Okay. So, why? Do you understand why it would?
Oh yeah,
do that?
Yeah. That's why it wasn't the reason why I originally took one of them down, which is where the Pro 2A flag is now, is because my daughter was old enough to have birthday parties at our house, and we were having birthday parties, and several of the people coming to the birthday parties were black, and it just wasn't worth them walking up. And that's a first. Y'all were talking about first impressions and stuff before. You walk up to somebody's house out here in the country outside of Jacksonville and they got a Confederate flag hanging up, they're going to be like, what the heck did I just walk into?
And to piggyback
on the other hand, if they come up here and...
what's the most disturbing
part? Hold on. Hey, hold on a minute. Very considerate of you, Chad. Very nice. Welcome, James Oko. to the panel. I did want to go back into very quickly. Chad, have you ever dated outside of your race?
I've come very, very close, but actually the two people that I would have dated outside of my race, they were too good for me.
What race were they?
They were black. Oh, I have dated Mexicans and stuff, so that doesn't count if I'm from Texas. So
right. Very true. It was their home first, right? Okay. So
Chad, you came on here and you said black women are the prize. Oh, you about to that inbox about to look ugly after this month.
No. Trust me, people
look ugly.
He's like, I'm cool on that. I did want to ask a question, right? Because going back to Dr. Umar and Ish, Ish, it's so crazy. I'm telling you, that stream is very reminiscent of what happened here on the block with the race thing and the black man with the white. So Ish gave Dr. Umar the excuse of and I'm just saying excuse for lack of a better word, but basically saying, hey, and I'm paraphrasing, you can't help who you fall in love with. And Dr. Umar pretty much pulled his card and said, that's bullshit. It's a very conscious decision, right? You don't just see someone at the onset and it's like, oh my God, I love you. You have to get to know them. You have to at least target that type. How do you feel about that? Because I've heard people say that before, where it's like, you can't help who you fall in love with. I think it's bullshit. I think we all have a type or at least a goal. I don't think you trip over love.
Okay, that is kind of true. But I mean, you can push that into far other links too, saying, oh, well, Aaron, I kind of like talking to you, man. I don't really have a type, but you're not really my type, but I mean, you're kind of right about that, but you can't push it too far as, you might be attracted to some people and there might be others that you're not attracted to. And like you said, you have to talk to, I don't believe as far as anybody over 30 anyway, that they just look at somebody and automatically fall in love with them.
I agree.
But I mean, but you can relate to a lot of people just because they're not in your race or whatever else. Doesn't mean you can't relate to them or appreciate them. And it's not necessarily, I mean, honestly, if you're dating somebody, it shouldn't be mattered on race. That's a prize. If you're dating somebody and marrying somebody, then that should be a prize to you no matter what.
Okay. No Saint, how are you, sir? Not to party. What say you? Where's your Confederate flag?
Well, it's funny you should say that because he says symbols and flags. He does. Those flags behind you say 1,000 words to me.
What did they say?
Do.
School us on
I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
No Saint.
I could totally be wrong, but those are the type of flags that you see, like, say, show up to a rally in Washington, D.C. and don't believe the election. They think it's rigged. And he's in Florida, so he's probably, Jen, I know you are. He's probably anti-vax. Yeah. My sister.
Just come out and say it. Just come out and say it. You think he's a Trump supporter?
And let me say something else. Is it a
conservative? I'm not necessarily a Trump supporter. And yes, I can tell a lot by you from that hat, or I know a lot by you from that hat and that little symbol over there by the side of your screen as well.
That's absolutely correct. You can. It's true. You can tell a lot from what people put in the background.
Yeah.
And what I want to say is it's kind of interesting that he's, I'm kind of thinking that's George in disguise because he's in Jacksonville.
George in disguise.
No, we have a guy on here, George, that comes up and he's from Jacksonville. And he kind of has the same, the only thing I want to say is that, do you think it's possible? Because this is what happened to me. I grew up in Louisiana. I grew up in the New Orleans area. And I kind of felt like you did. Like, I didn't think that the area was racist. And I think you can grow. I'm not saying this is you. I'm just saying I think you can, because it happened to me. This is anecdotal. But you can grow up in an area and kind of be like the pot's boiling or warming up, but you really don't feel it. I left for 18 years and knew then that this area was, now not everybody's a racist, but I could hear it. I wasn't tone deaf to it anymore. I was like,
now, hold on a second. I've got to disagree with you on some of that and agree with you. So I grew up in Texas for 20 years I'm 44 now. I've lived in lived in Florida for over half of my life. And actually in Waco, where I grew up at, I encountered more racism from blacks than I saw whites being racist. Now, when I moved to Florida, I have never been called racist in my life, or since I've lived in Florida. And I did AC work for half my life, and you've never seen so many people happy. If you want to see somebody that's usually happy to see somebody show up, it's the AC man in Florida or in Louisiana for that matter. Mm-hmm. And in Texas, I actually had customers tell me they didn't want me in their house because I was white. Florida, that never happened. They'd tell me their whole life story, everything else, talk with me, everything else. Now, I'm not saying I have met more white racists in Florida than I did growing up in Texas, but they're pretty much white trash. So they're people that I wouldn't want to have anything to do with, and people aren't going to listen to anyway. They're a bunch of meth heads or something complaining because they can't get a job. Well, it might be because you're doing meth every day. So
yeah. Well, this is what I'll say to I appreciate your story, and I'm kind of wondering how hot were they in Texas that they're not letting you in the house? Because I don't care who it is coming to fix my AC.
I mean, that's never happened to me in Florida.
I'm telling you, house and fixing my AC. But I want to say this: even if the black people were racist towards you, because listen, there's people everywhere that can dislike other people.
That's true. I don't. Just because a black person doesn't like me, I don't consider it right. They could be having a bad day, for that matter.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Let me jump in really, really quickly. So if black people don't like Chad, they're having a bad day. But if Chad doesn't like a black person, it's racism. Yeah.
Whoops.
I've never had that problem here in Florida either.
Okay.
I've gotten into, I don't know how many people I met here in Florida, especially during the 2020 campaign and the whole summer of love and everything that I met that were black here in Florida. And most of it was on Facebook or something. So I didn't really meet them that often, that I became pretty good friends with over stuff that we disagreed on, especially over race or over politics. And we still ended up being friends.
Okay. Now, what did you, before we pass the mic, what did you mean, Chad, when you said, I can tell a lot about you, about No Saint? No Saint is our white people whisperer, but I'm curious. I'm curious as to what you have to say about his hat and the
because I can automatically tell he's from Southern Louisiana because he's got an LSU hat on. He's got the Saints symbol behind him. And I've heard him talk before. That automatically means he's from Southern Louisiana. So like I've said, it depends on, like I was saying in the comments, it depends on what region you're at as to how affected you are or how you feel about stuff like that. And I know a lot of people in Southern Louisiana too. So we're all on I-10 too. So that makes us another common line. So
can you give us an example? Like, do you believe that where he comes from lends to his liberal sensibilities? Is that what you're saying? Or
maybe some, but I've known people from both sides that would be like that. I mean, somebody in the comments was saying the South is a different kind of patriotic or something like that. And I guess being Louisiana's its own place.
They said that Southerners are very patriotic.
I believe that, yeah. Not just patriotic as far as, like you hear about like Alabama, KKK or something like that, but like one that stick to the constitutional stuff. Like, I guess everybody, like a lot of Jacksonville used to be one of the most racist places in the country.
Absolutely.
And now they did have a racist shooting here a few months ago. The guy was actually from the county I live in outside of Jacksonville and went and shot. Like first he went to Edwards Waters College, which is a HBCU here, and security kicked him off. And then he went to a gas station and shot like 3 black kids and left his manifesto at his home and everything else. And even the sheriff was like, I believe that this was a racist event, but Jacksonville is not a racist city or area.
Okay. All right.
James, Florida is also known for vote tampering. particularly amongst
Not anymore.
blacks.
Not anymore. Florida
gerrymandering. Fact. Gerrymandering.
Well, wait 1 second. A lot of things aren't anymore. But what I'm saying is that
they're not anymore. Florida has had a history of that.
It has been. Wait 1 second, Chad. It has been known to, to be synonymous with vote tampering. Now, I will say this: if you take that into consideration, and also, Southerners are also very patriotic. Plantations are also very much synonymous with the Deep South. So this is one of the reasons why people of color have an issue with seeing, Confederate flags and so on and so forth, regardless of how patriotic you might be. And that is your right. That is your. No one is here to take that away from you. I'm just speaking to the point of.
I got you.
You believe in what that means to someone else.
Oh, I totally trust me, man. I promise. I have talked to tons of people from all over the place. I don't know if y'all ever watch LFR Family or not. I've talked to him quite a bit, and he's had Modern Renaissance Man on before. That's how I started following you, Jen. But
and let me ask you a question. Voter tampering, right? Voting tampering, has it been successful tampering?
I don't think so. Recently, Florida went really strong, or Florida had been accused of tampering or crazy stuff that, like, now you're seeing other places being accused of, because Florida had been accused of that for about a decade ago through every election, pretty much. So then Florida cracked down on that. Now you have to have voter ID. You have to be registered in your sector or your whatever and everything now to vote in Florida. I don't give a crap who you're voting for and everything. The last election, which I'm sure y'all have all heard of, DeSantis, excuse me, he won because the guy he was running against was a complete idiot.
Did you vote for Trump?
Last election, yes, I did vote for Trump.
Yeah. Did you join the motorcades with all the pickup trucks and all of that with the big Trump flag?
No, I didn't have time for that. I had to work.
You had to work. You were busy. Gotcha. James Oka, what say you?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that the South is more patriotic, because how can you be more patriotic when you succeeded from your country and literally try to go to war with it? So I don't know that I would say the South is more patriotic. It's more like a faux patriotism, like similar to like maybe how I would say the left uses like the moral high horse for social issues. I wouldn't say it's a real patriotism. Now, I'm not going to say they're any less patriotic than anybody else in the country, but no, more patriotic, and you led, the war that took place in the Civil War killed more Americans than any other war. So
you're right.
I don't know why, I don't know how we would get that the South is more patriotic.
Well, I mean, I agree with you on that. I think it's a different kind of. I think now the South is more constitutionally patriotic, like, for example, on guns or support. I mean, because that's one of the things you see whenever storms or natural disasters happen here in the South. You only hear about them for a week or so because the community's already come in and helped everybody. And it don't matter who you are.
Well, tell that to the people in New Orleans.
Do you think you can be pro-Black and have a white partner? Can you be pro-Black and have a white partner? Can you be a Black woman who's pro-Black and have a white husband, and vice versa? Can you be a Black man with a white wife or girlfriend that you are impregnating repeatedly and giving your wealth to repeatedly? Should you have wealth? Can you be pro-Black still? That's my question.
I think so. I know some people are saying no, but I think so. What does it mean to be pro-Black?
Well, here's the thing, Chad. Let me ask you. Well, here's a bigger question, Chad. If for instance, some of the here you are. What do you think about the term woke?
I am not a fan of the term woke anymore, because the term woke, and this is from what I've seen from multiple people of all races and sexual preferences and stuff like that, is the term woke has been pushed way, way too far. And when you have to go looking for stuff to find, that's where the term woke has become from, to where, like, for example, if Heron, you come into my house with a gun and start trying to rob me and I shoot you in the back, then that's racist. That's not racist. That's me defending my household.
Well, I think you're confusing the castle doctrine. You're confusing the castle doctrine.
So if you shoot him in the back, it'd be considered racism. People would say, "Why'd you shoot that black man in the back?"
Depending on where you're from. Now, Florida wouldn't see it like that. As far as if you look up any of the news stations in Florida.
Wait 1 second, Chad. Before we go too deep into the weeds, what was the original meaning of the term woke?
That you're waking up
to, and it was used predominantly by blacks, correct?
For most of what I see, it was white liberals. But yes.
Just for the sake of time, let's not do the riddle thing. If you know what you're talking about, just say it. Let's not ask the other person, just for the sake of time.
All right. Well, here's the point. Here's the point that I'm essentially trying to make to you. For all these things that let's say if a particular black person has stances against and you deem yourself to be very patriotic and so on and so forth, right? Well, pro-black ideas would be considered anti-American, anti-patriotic, a lot of anti-things. So if your pro-black partner actually displayed a lot of these ideas in the home, would you be supportive of that person? Would you go to, I don't know, pro-black rallies with that person? Would you educate your white friends? Would you educate your white friends who have the same amount of flags in the back of you? Would you educate them on many of the plight of black people? Would you do that? Would you be willing to be that guy?
Absolutely, yeah. Actually, I do that already. And I don't have that many friends that, if my friends are to the point to where they can't understand certain things are racist, and not the pro-black, I'm not like the pro-white out here raising a freaking KKK flag or nothing like that, but I can see the difference in that too. But I mean, absolutely, if it's like, who was that freaking, I should remember his names, Tyrell, the guy that got shot just north of here by like the 3 white rednecks that went and tracked, he was jogging. Yeah, the guy was in a place where in a house he shouldn't have been.
Martin. You talking about Trayvon Martin?
It's not Trayvon Martin, no.
No, not Trayvon Martin. That was down south of here. This was
in Georgia.
Y'all know who I'm talking about, though,
Georgia.
Right?
He was in Georgia.
He was in Georgia, but it was just north of us.
Yeah.
I mean, the next county north of us. And it was like, no, y'all guys need to go to jail. That's freaking bullcrap. I don't care if it was racist or not. You go and shoot somebody just for trespassing. That's illegal, just so you know. So, and it might have been racist. It might have been a bunch of Georgia hillbillies out there with some black guy running through the neighborhood and be like, oh, no, we ain't letting you go,
Okay, so really quickly, I want to do meanings, right? Woke basically says here, woke is an adjective derived from African-American vernacular English, meaning alert to racial prejudice and discrimination. Beginning in the 2010s, it came to encompass a broader awareness of social inequalities such as racial injustice, sexism, and denial of LGBT rights. So it grew, right? It grew. And then just to go back to pro-black, this is what it means. Quick search, because I do want to get into, can you be pro-black and have a white partner? Basically, pro-black, if you look at the Urban Dictionary, says the uplifting of black people, whether it's financially or physically. Being pro-black means black everything. And it goes on to say, if you are dating outside your race, then you can't be considered pro-black. How can you be pro-black but have a white significant other? Simply put, you can't be pro-black and sleep White.
Okay. So could you be pro-black and sleep Puerto Rican then?
It depends on who you ask, Chad.
It all depends on who you ask, because pro-black to me does not mean that everything has to be black all the time.
Now, someone would say, well, you're a white man. Why do you get to say what's pro-black?
As a white man, I don't say pro-white would probably mean something different than pro-black.
What would
pro-white mean?
Well, you don't see people going around and putting up white-owned business on the front of their buildings, or you don't,
They usually don't have to. It's assumed that it's white-owned.
Don't count on it, man. You don't know who the heck owns the business around here.
I walk by Apple and be like, I wonder if this is black-owned. Like, Chad, I can assume that this is a white-owned establishment. Okay?
Oh, my goodness. Yikes. So I see, this is interesting. I see,
can I comment on
I see you going off in the chat about how you're a human being, you pee yellow, blah, blah. But you have to make up your mind, because when you're fighting for your rights, you come in full-blown Colombian and brown and a black man. So you have to make up your mind.
Well, the thing is this. My statement is that I'm a rainbow. I want to take the rainbow, the symbolism of the rainbow, back from the gays. I'm a heterosexual man. I love vagina so much. I would die. I was born in a vagina. I'm gonna die in one. But bro, let me talk, Heron. When you talk, I don't tell you, hey, congrats, because it distracts me.
I don't go on and on.
All right, but that's me. I don't have to be like you. You're obese. I don't want to be obese. Okay. I let you be the way you are. Now, my thing is this. I'm a rainbow. I'm more than the color of my skin.
Let me pause you. We're not gonna play that game, because let me tell you, nobody can insult people better than me. And you don't want to get me started. Either call people by their name or get the fuck off the panel. I'm very simple. I'm very simple.
I did.
You know his name because you've said his name repeatedly. Do not play with me.
How you say it? How you say it?
You've been saying his name all night. Don't play with me.
Okay, so don't play with me. Hey, I'm not trying to trigger right now.
You just said it. You just said it wrong. You just said it 2-3 times.
Okay,
because when he come at me, I could get disrespected, and then he coming at me, and
no, he didn't call you out of your name. He didn't call you out of your name or say you too light in the ass.
I clearly said I'm not Cuban. I'm Colombian, and for him to call me Cuban,
12-year-old boy, he didn't say none of that.
All right, Jen, but all right.
He was mistaken when he called you Cuban. He was mistaken.
Everybody corrected him.
I apologize for it.
All right, so go ahead. You were saying you want to be a rainbow. You consider yourself.
I forgot what I said. I was trying to be funny, but you guys killed my whole mood, so never mind.
What part of Colombia you're from?
Okay, whatever. I don't care. So anyway, my point was we got through the definitions of pro-black and woke, and Chad is standing up and saying you ain't gotta be all black everything to be pro-black. Now, a lot of people disagree. They're like, how can you fight for pro-blackness and be laying next to something white? It's a paradox. It's a contradiction. Go ahead, Avril.
Tribalism, as my belief is, tribalism is a problem. When you put yourself in boxes, that's when you don't live as a human, and that's what I meant to say. I'm a human. The way you treat me, I'm gonna treat you. I had white people that treated me good when I was undocumented. When I graduated from as a 16-year-old from high school in the Bronx, I had no papers. My visa 11. Right. So I work with Jews. I work with Mexicans. I work with a lot of people. Now, being Afro-Latino, people always want to take my blackness when they want to. So if I speak with an accent for certain black people, I'm not black enough. When I go, as an Afro-Latino, I try to not say the N-word. Frustrating, like.
Did he get stuck, or is it me?
Something didn't like what he was saying.
Call your people and tell them they're free of Advo.
My
to answer what he was saying, the statement he said earlier, you said that I have main character syndrome. Ladies and gentlemen, I absolutely have main character syndrome. I'm an only child. I'm an only fucking kid. I'm a Leo. Goddamn fucking right. I have main character syndrome, and I do not apologize for it.
But here's my issue, right? Here's my issue. When he fights for his rights, he fights as either a black male or a brown Latino or an Afro Latino. But then he says, I'm human, don't categorize me, right? I pee yellow, I bleed red. So then why are you fighting to have rights as a brown and black person? To me, that's a contradiction. I don't know. To me, it's a contradiction. Either you're human and feel like you're equal to everybody else, or you're fighting literally because you're black or brown. I don't understand that.
So see, I'm fighting for Americans. I don't give a crap what color you are, what race you're from, what country you're from, as long as I can. Now, thankfully, and nowadays we can even use our phone to translate people. I'm wanting to fight for you as an American for the most part. So I don't really care about black, pro-black, pro-white, I mean, anybody that's lived in Florida knows there's too many dang colors here in Florida and too many people from all over the place to try to categorize everybody.
Did you say colors?
I think he says too many colors. I think he meant
colors. Colors. Too many colors.
I
We heard what he said, but Freudian
colors. See, I had to get the other guy from the South here to understand my Southern dialect. So,
okay.
But what I will say to what the Colombian, Afro-Colombian, I understand what he means when he says, he doesn't like tribalism. Unfortunately, the human condition is to be tribal, and that's why we do have a lot of problems. But that's because I don't think we've, as a species, we're supposed to be all put in like huge cities and things. That we're supposed to be smaller tribes.
But what's wrong with what's wrong with tribalism? It's nature.
Yeah, but it clouds your thinking.
It clouds your thinking. He's right.
It clouds your thinking if you go around other tribes.
You can't just stay in America. You can't just stay around your own tribe.
Say again, Chad.
If tribalism wasn't a thing, if tribalism wasn't important, you would have been fighting against the North. Your people would have been fighting against the North.
Okay, here's the thing about tribalism right now. Mm-hmm. Tribalism. Mm-hmm. Puerto Rican flag flying.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly.
NOLA Saint sign right there, and a Florida flag, and a Pro 2A and a Texas flag flying behind me. You don't think all of that's a sort of tribalism?
It is.
So you're saying that? So that would mean that none of us would ever be able to talk because we're all part of our own tribes, and we should stay away.
No, we can talk. We can talk, but we can still acknowledge that we're from different tribes. Tribes. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with. Look, listen. If you have a family, and I have a family, literally a nuclear family. I have my children. I have my wife. You have your children. You have your wife. That's a tribe. That's your tribe. And if we have conflicts of ideas and certain things, you're going to fight for your wife and kids, which is understandable. Because at the end of the day, you're fighting for the needs and the survival of your immediate tribe. There's nothing wrong with tribalism. Wait 1 second. There comes a time. There's a problem when one tribe, feels that it needs to inflict and enforce its ideas on another tribe, rather than respecting the culture and the identity of that particular tribe. There'll always be tribes. We'll always gravitate towards people who look like us, think like us to some degree, and so on and so forth. It's just human because it's connected to our need to survive.
But there are ways that you can join tribes together without the fighting that there is now.
Wait 1 second. And the whole point of survival is finding people that you are harmonious with. you are in the same. That's why they say people that you're on the same page with, people that you and people you're on the same page with look like you, think like you, and so on and so forth. So there's nothing wrong with tribalism to a degree. No.
So I think you're not a fan of tribalism. However, that Trump motorcade is very, very clear on tribalism. They're very clear. And you didn't go because you were busy at work. I get it. But however, they're very, very clear on what and who their tribe is and why. And 9 times out of 10, they are racist.
I think I could dig deeper into that with you. And you were wrong about that.
Oh.
Because you might see a bunch of white freaking racist honkies on TV, but you go out and look, and that is not who's all voting, especially now trying to go for Trump. And
black for Trump.
Yeah, actually, it ain't even blacks for Trump anymore. It's N-words for Trump. So that was out in Atlanta during the Trump motorcade.
Yeah.
The whole, whenever he went to go take his mugshot or whatever, the whole streets were lined up with black people supporting Trump.
But however, I'm gonna pull up a video right quick. I'm gonna show you guys something. Okay. I'm gonna show you guys something real quick. Bear with me. I got something to show y'all. Dude, what the yo, what this thing is I can't deal with that. Put your keyboard down. This thing here, you're killing me. You be typing like this. All right, let me grab this video.
Are you on a laptop, Jen?
Yes.
You need to get an external monitor.
An external monitor?
Yeah, like a second monitor you can just hook up to your laptop.
Like connect a HDMI to another TV. And just,
yeah. That way you can watch what people are doing on StreamYard while you're sharing the video.
I'll look into that.
Just get an HDMI cable. Just get one of these.
So check this out. This was a man. Hold on, let me grab him. Black gay Republican heckled with slurs at MAGA event.
I'll be right back on that note. I am still listening, but I'm just going to turn off my cam, but I will be right back. But yes, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Don't go running now, Chad.
No, I'm staying.
These are your people, Chad.
I am staying. I know exactly who you're talking about, too.
Okay. I'm going to play this for the beat.
Is that the don't ask, don't tell guy? Is that's what that guy is? I heard he's like a protester from. He wants protesters. Yeah, we see that.
Okay, so let's play this real quick. There's a lady making fun of the guy that got heckled at a MAGA event.
I never thought the leopards would eat my face. No, I never thought the leopards would eat my face. Well, I turned my back on my own kind, but I somehow thought that I'd be fine. No, I never thought the leopards would eat my face. Slow down now. I never thought the leopards would eat my face. No, I never thought the leopards would eat my face. Well, I turned my back on my own kind, but I somehow thought that I'd be fine. No, I never thought the leopards would eat my face. But they always do. Just ask Herman Cain. Me.
Okay, so she's basically making fun of a black man who was at a MAGA rally, and they hurled gay slurs, black slurs at him. However, black people are now voting for Trump. Why do you think there's still so much pent-up racism at Trump rallies? What's going on, Jack?
I don't know what is going on with this guy. There's got to be more to this story. This guy, I think, met Trump before.
Oh.
This guy used to sell on Facebook. He used to sell white privilege card or black privilege cards on Facebook. Have you ever seen Jubilee?
No.
They're the ones where they go and get like 6 different people from 6 different views or from 2 different views. Okay, so you've seen that before. I'm sorry, I can't remember your name, Columbia.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was on black or gay conservatives versus gay liberals on Jubilee before a few years ago. His name's Rob Smith.
Rob Smith is known in the circle as a grifter. He first started in our side because I'm the blue side. I'm blue till I die. You know, I'm blue till I die.
Man, I'm red. I'm red.
You know. Now he used to be a activist for Don't Ask, Don't Tell during the Obama administration, and that's how he got his starts to, like, you know, stardom or whatever, like notoriety, right? Then he started going into the, like, remember during the Trump events, I used to be I never was in Hillary Clinton's campaign, but I was in Bernie Sanders' campaign. The Bernie bros turned into MAGA, and he was a Bernie bro. He was a Bernie bro turned MAGA.
There was a bunch of them.
Now it's kind of like the same argument when you have a gay person protesting for Palestine. Those Palestinians are not gonna mess with you. They don't like you. You're an abomination for them. So the same goes for him. He's surrounded by MAGA, and again, he's a grifter. So I see why MAGA is now rejected.
Yeah,
I'll give him that. I'll put him in that category too.
And this is the thing, Chad. This is the thing. And Jen, we saw this thing where Enrique Torrio was selling Biden shit and Trump shit, and Trump himself is a grifter. Every time he gets in trouble, he's raising money off of it. He's not that the dude doesn't have billions of dollars already. It's all about money, man. And the blind. Listen, I'm independent. You can say and I've twice in the last 2 elections looked at Republicans that I could vote for. Unfortunately, they never. It's always the ones in the middle, and the ones in the middle to people on the right are liberal. I mean, that's what they say. The ones in the middle are too they're not real Republicans, I guess.
Mitt Romney.
Or what's her name? The one that voted with Trump 90% of the time from Wyoming, that now she's not a conservative. Cheney. Liz Cheney.
Oh, yeah,
suddenly she's not, even though she voted 90% of the time with Trump's policies, suddenly she's not even right enough. But anyway, my point being is that all this stuff is, you see the Trump, it's all about grifters making a lot of money off of people that are in a cult or in a tribe. Because even the guy from Colombia here, he sort of is in a tribe when he says he's blue all the way. That's kind of.
Well, are you voting for Trump again?
I'll vote for Trump again. I'd vote for Trump much over Biden or y'all's California guy out there.
And you don't have any. There's nothing he can do that's going to change your mind.
Who?
Trump. There's nothing that like.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying
I don't know how much
that.
he paid attention to the stuff, because a lot of people tend to not want to see anything.
Hey, I'll watch all of that stuff. I'll come out.
C-SPAN it, huh? You see?
Yeah. Yeah. C-SPAN. I'll watch that stuff. That's the most non-biased news. Maybe it's because they don't really give any news. They just give speeches, or they just show what's really going on and stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, as far as a lot of the stuff that Biden and the Biden administration has been doing, I don't believe in letting all these people just unchecked coming across the border, because if you've been legally trying to come across the border, you should be in line first, and you're actually trying.
I can agree with you there.
I think they should definitely change the migration policies to where it shouldn't take you to have to get a lawyer and take you 5 years to be able to get into the country. As far as a lot of the taxes go, I do not think I do not think a lot of this stuff that they're trying to call free speech and everything, like they talked about the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida, that had nothing to do with not saying gay. That was saying they should not teach sex in school between the ages or between the grades in K and 3, which I don't believe they should teach true sex like they were talking about in school at all.
I agree.
Hey, Mr. Florida, can I ask you a question? Can
No,
you
no,
take
no,
a
no,
guess?
you're not, because we're gonna close soon. Not
Okay,
doing
sorry.
No, you're not.
All right,
Um,
I
Chad,
want to
thank
ask
you.
you one question.
I don't. No, call him. Get on his Instagram. DM him.
What's your
Slide
phone
in.
number, Mr. Drew? Mr. Drew Carey?
Not doing it. All right, guys. So thank you. Thank you for joining us. We went from Dr. Umar and Ish to politics in Florida, taxes. Chad, thank you for coming up. I've seen you in the chat a long time.
Thank you for letting me on.
up.
I know I have different views, but I am willing to talk to everybody. So you can see I don't get pissed off that easy. So.
No, listen, you were a good sport, and that's what the block is. So I'm really glad you came up. Plus, No Saint needed some competition. We need a little white on white violence every now and then, to keep it spicy. Got to keep it spicy up here. All right,
Come out
guys.
to Florida with the meth heads, you'll see some white on white violence. So.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining us. We will be back tomorrow and all the way into the new year. My birthday is this Friday. Okay.
Happy birthday.
Thank you so much.
You was almost a Sagittarius. You was almost a Sagittarius.
So we will see what happens, but we will be up tomorrow again. These conversations can go left, and we all handled it well. So proud of us. This is why I love the block. All right, guys, hit that like and subscribe on your way out the door. Don't forget Cash App on the block with Jen to support the show. All right, guys. Good night. Thank you.
Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Good night. Woo! All right. Chad, if you're listening, let people know in the comments real quick if you have a channel. No Saint is asking if you have a channel. So let us know that, or if you just like hanging out and getting on different panels, just throw it in the chat or in the comments if the stream is already down. Thank you, everybody who's watching, lurking, you know what I mean? Thank you for watching. Good night. Have a good one. Adam Hearn, don't nobody want to see your OnlyFans. Oh, okay, great. Chad C, for anyone interested in his channel, Truck IT on YouTube and Discord and Instagram. Okay, so Chad got some pages up. Truck IT on YouTube and Discord and Instagram. Pretty simple. It's right there on the screen. Good night. Be good. And here comes the new year. We're a couple days away. Hope y'all ready. Good night, guys.